And it's been another UFC Apex card, which, well, you could take that to mean whatever you want. In all seriousness, last night's card was fairly good. Actually, not really complaining. The end was not amazing. The main event was a little bit dull. The main card in general fairly dull because the two middleweight fights were not very good. Yasmin Lucendo Polyana Viana was fine. Khalil Roundtree knocking out Chris Daukaus was fine, but very, very expected. I think that's my problem. Cub Swanson, Hakeem Dawodu, that was a good fight. And Luque versus Dos Anjos was kind of a slosh. But the undercard was really good. We got a bunch of finishes. We had no decisions on the undercard. First round stoppages for Marcus McGee. First round stoppage for Terrence McKinney. No surprise there. First round stoppage for Isaac Dulgarian, who looks very good. First round stoppage for Martin Budai. First round stoppage for Damone Blackshear in the form of a twister. And first round stoppage for Luana Santos, which was admittedly a sad fight, but we'll get to that later. And then a third round stoppage for Jaqueline Amorim. So pretty good. The only thing I will say is that these Apex cards continue to feel like good regional cards. That is the problem. We're here watching the UFC and we're getting good LFA or good CFFC or good Aries FC cards. Fun and everything, but the differentiation between the absolute best product in the world and the next step down is quickly becoming not really that steep. So let's talk about the fights here. So at the top, you had Vicente Luque versus RDA. I'll be honest, I actually had forgotten about Vicente Luque's brain bleed before when I was breaking this fight down and taking RDA to win. I'd completely forgotten the medical scare and the problems he had after the Jeff Neal fight. So that added an extra level of apprehension and lack of excitement. And the thing here is that, all right, Luque went out there and he looked fine. He did. It looks like there is a solid chance that he is actually fine and can continue fighting and doing his thing, and it's not going to result in a scary, scary moment. However, the UFC has done everything in its power, and also the commissions, to maybe have zero faith in their medical process. We've seen TJ Dillashaw fight Aljamain Sterling with one arm, essentially. We have seen Jared Gordon get booked fresh off a knockout within, I think, a month of said knockout, clearly with a concussion, clearly should still be on the, no fight list, get booked, and then, when he says, I have a concussion, in social media, the fight gets called off, and the UFC gets mad about it. It is very, very, very clear that the lip service to fighter safety is just that. So I'm still nervous about it. The fight itself is not really worth talking about. I scored it for RDA, but I have no remote problems with Luque winning. I think my X post on the fight was essentially this. I scored it 48-47, 135 to RDA. But those 3 rounds are all very, very close. You could give all 5 rounds to Luque, and you're not wrong. Whereas Luque won the second and the fourth, in my opinion. That is my take. If we're using what I think the scoring should actually be, 1-3-5 are 10-9s, and then Luque won 10-8s. That's my opinion. That's always been my opinion, that either a 10-8 or either a 10-8 needs to become more common, more clear-cut, or we need to get 10-10s. I guess that's the other option. 10-10, 10-9 Luque, 10-10, 10-9 Luque, 10-10. That is the case. So I have no problem with Luque winning. I think I said under Pride rules, he wins because Pride scored the entirety of the fight instead of round by round. And he did. RDA kept clinching with him and getting nothing done. Had he stepped back and like just did a ranged kickboxing match, one, I think the fight would have been more exciting, and two, he may have actually won because RDA was doing good things at range. He landed a couple of head kicks, not flush, but partial lands, and was generally having no problem competing at range, but he was unable to change gears. He came in being like, I'm going to pressure Luque, I'm going to smash myself into the clinch with him, and I'm going to win that way. And it was not working. I understand the game plan. It was the game plan I expected, but it was a little bit disappointing to see RDA never adapt to the circumstances of the fight. That this was a fight that he could win at range and was refusing to try and instead kept clinching with no discernible advantage. There you go. So, what's next for these guys? Because I don't have much else to say about the fight itself. I don't know. Like in the case of Luque, the problem is I still don't know if medically speaking he should be fighting. So like I don't want to matchmake for him. And the type of fights that he tends to end up in are absolutely destructive to the brain. And in RDA's case, the problem is that he's going to be 39 this year. And he's still fully functional. He's not a Tyron Woodley, or we're going to talk about Chris Daukaus later, as a guy who is just broken. But he is a guy who is not beating the level of competition that we are accustomed to. And the UFC is probably going to book him against someone he probably really shouldn't be fighting at this point. So I don't have really any interest in it. I don't feel bad about it. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to have my Tony Ferguson moment of like, please retire. Please just retire. Because we're not at that. It's not sad watching RDA fight. It's just not exciting anymore. It's not must-see viewing. And I guess in its own way, that is a little bit sad. But like, I don't have any worries about him like just like getting absolutely smashed. He's going to test people, whoever they put him up against. It's just, I can't summon up a tremendous amount of let's go for his fight. So I have nothing for both guys. Cub Swanson, Hakeem Dawodu. Wow, this is a bad decision. So for this one, I feel like I have to pull up the fight stats because they are, I think, a little bit telling. So Cub Swanson. Now, in fairness, this was the only like bad decision of the night, so it's not too bad. Really, you're not going to find Cub Swanson for me. All right, we gonna have to go the long way. Where are you? Where is Cub Swanson? Is he not on the list here? Okay, there he is. Never mind. We got him. I want to say he was outlanded in all three rounds. Yeah, he was outlanded 29-23, 29-28, 37-26 in significant strikes, 48, 29-23, 40. Oh, no, he outlanded him in the second round. Okay. And then in the third round, 52-32. Now, here's my problem is I believe two of the judges actually gave the first round to Cub. I don't agree with that. Like, the first round was like kind of, the numbers tell the story, honestly. Neither guy significantly hurt each other. Neither guy had a super clean moment of landing and of offense. They were out there exchanging strikes, and Dawodu was hitting him more. I hate to break fighting down to that absolutely super simple viewpoint, but sometimes that is what it is. The second round, I scored for Dawodu live. Maybe on a rewatch, I would change my mind. Because, I mean, apparently Swanson did land more strikes, although not significant. And he did hurt Dawodu. Like he did legitimately rock him. He landed one of the cleaner shots of the fight in that round. Had I imagined Dawodu seeing some stars. So like if the card that went rounds 2 and 3 to Swanson, I don't have a particular problem with. But the 1 and 3 cards, which I believe were 2 of them, that's garbage. That's bad. And I say this as a guy who picked Cub for really the reasons that we saw. Dawodu is not super dangerous at any point. Doesn't really have a way of controlling the fight, really. He just is kind of winning exchanges out there and not really convincing anybody. And it's why he's outlanded people and then gone to like heavily outlanded people, like 2-1 outlanded people, and then gone to like split decisions. Now, that's still bad judging. I remember particularly like I want to say it was a Zubair Tukhugov fight where the split came down and I was like, what? But like I do get it. He doesn't really punctuate anything. He did mess up Cub's face a little bit, busted up his right eye. It was leaking a little bit. But like, you know, given that he's fighting a guy who's almost 40, it's another missed opportunity to announce himself as an arrival guy to 145. So, you know, it was nice to see Cub basically admit, no, I did not win that fight. I appreciate that level of self-honesty. But it was a fun fight. It was a good scrap. It was not Cub at his best. It was not even Cub in the Du Ho Choi Superboy fight, which makes sense. That was 7 years ago. But it was perfectly fine, and at the same time, I don't really have anything for Cub to do. It's kind of like an RDA thing. Like, I'm not sad watching him fight. He is still, even at 39 years old, fully functional as a fighter. He still can test people. He's not really going to be a pushover for anyone who can't just instantly nuke him. But by the same token, I've lost interest in what he's doing. I have no problem that he's doing it. I'm not calling for retirement. I'm not asking for people not to book him because it's fine. He seems perfectly capable of fighting people in this division. Just one, please do not try to go back to 135. Please do not do that. It seems like he's not, but please don't try that again. But I'm not super interested because like it's like you put him up against somebody, I don't know what we would learn about that person, and I don't know what we would learn about Cub Swanson at this point. So, you know, put him in there with fun fights, and I don't really overly care against who. For Dawodu, I've got Melsik Baghdasaryan because I do think that would be a fun fight. Khalil Roundtree, Chris Daukaus, 205-pound fight here. Daukaus got crushed. I won a bunch of money, and I'm fine with that. I said it in the lead up here in the prediction. Nothing about what is wrong with Daukaus' game at heavyweight is fixed by going down to 205. Don't get me wrong. I think he is a 205 size guy. I think if you look at his just body mass, his thickness, his height, his build, yeah, no, it is a 205 build. The problem just is the guy is not particularly explosive. He does have reasonably fast hands, but he's not particularly explosive. I don't know if he's not particularly strong, but he's never developed a game which goes there. Like someone, and I honestly don't remember who over on X Twitter, put up the post. It's like, I can't believe Daukaus didn't try to wrestle Roundtree. And don't get me wrong, like wrestling Roundtree tends to be the pathway to success. But at the same time, like that's never been Daukaus' game. He is a fast-handed boxer, essentially, who does not have great defense, does not have a great chin, does not have great explosivism. He's going to get knocked out a lot at 205. Like, a lot, because this is a division of explosive, athletic dudes. And, I don't know what to do, because, I mean, if you put him at heavyweight and you put him up against, and he's going to climb to a level where he just starts getting KO'd again. So it's not like I'm like, go back to heavyweight and this solves all the problems. It's just, we developed a hype for Chris Daukaus based on him beating low-level heavyweights. And that's not sustainable anywhere else. So I don't have a next opponent for him because I kind of think he's just done. Roundtree wanted... Oh, I'm sorry, my phone is making noises. Don't know why. Anyways, I am sorry. Anyways, there's just not much for him to do. Roundtree wanted a main event. Maybe you could do that with like the winner of Ryan Spawn, Anthony Smith. That's the best thing I've got for him. I am very off the Ryan Spawn bandwagon. I was never on the Anthony Smith bandwagon, so like that does feel appropriate. Yasmin Lucindo, second round. This was the arm triangle, right? Yes, it was. Second round triangle tap out of Polyana Viana. Kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest. The fight up until that point was not especially amazing. It wasn't crappy. But it was Lucindo kind of, landing more, but Viana landing some, better stuff in some chaotic car crashes. There was some takedown work, Lucindo on top, but like not doing much in the first round. Viana was landing hammer fists from her back that were probably the most effective thing going on at the time. And yeah, then she hurt her early in the second round. Threw a spinning back fist that got blocked, got the takedown, landed some ground and pound. It was pretty dull at that point. I have listed here like Chris Tognoni, the referee, would have totally been within his rights to stand them up. But then arm triangle, kind of out of nowhere. I still don't know if I am hyped for Lucindo. Like, I like her in the sense that she fights at a high pace and she's scrappy and works in grappling, so she's fairly well-rounded. Like, I like a lot of what she's doing. I just think that there are some physical X factors missing. And that's why for our next opponent, I have like Cheyenne Velismas, who is like the opposite. The complete opposite of her. In the sense that Velismas has the physical talent that you look for. And none of the process. So there you go. That's the fight I would go with. And for Viana, I have Piera Rodriguez because I want to see Piera Rodriguez do good, and I'm hoping she does good. Tafonu Chukwe versus AJ Dobson. This fight stunk. Kind of like I expected it to. Dodson won. I was actually tuned out in the second round because somebody asked me a question about... I want to say it was motorsport. I got distracted and I'm not going back to watch it again. I gave the first to Njukwe. I gave the third to Dodson. I assume Dodson won the second. I've got him against Trayshawn Gore. There's potential to him, but he feels so raw for a guy in his early 30s. And for Njukwe, who missed weight, I've got Claudio Ribeiro, unless they force him to 205, in which case, I don't really know. Josh Frem versus Jamie Pickett was also pretty bad. Frem won all the 3 rounds. I thought I have him against Christian Leroy Duncan next. And Pickett gets cut because, like, dude is 2-6. And I said it in my preview, like, Jamie Pickett looks incredibly uncomfortable. He actually looked a little bit more comfortable in this fight, actually. This might have been the most comfortable he's ever looked. But, like, he's a guy who maybe he enjoys the training. Maybe he enjoys the coaching. And if so, focus on that. Because not built for this. Not in the physical sense. Like, Chris Daukaus is a guy who is, like, not built for this physically. Pickett is not built for this mentally. And there is nothing wrong with that. I am not calling him a pussy or anything like that. No. Dude got in there and faced his fears. Like, if anything, he is maybe one of the bravest men in the UFC. But I'm never going to pick him because he is panic. He is panic incarnate in there. Marcus McGee knocked out JP Buys. I don't think this means anything. Buys is bad. Again, a guy who is not physically cut out for this, because like he was talking about how, if I go up to 135, things are going to be better. I'm going to be able to take the punches. It was the weight cut that was taking away my chin. Now, my guy, you're just not very durable, not very fast, not very athletic, and not a particularly great technician. But I don't even think like any technique in the world would make up for the problem here. Like it's just at the UFC level, at the very least, you do not have the physicality to compete. He is in a worse spot than Daukaus, basically. Because like at least Daukaus is a big dude, like 205, 265 heavyweight. You can go a long way. You can beat a lot of people on very limited skills and physicality. You cannot do that at 135, 125. So yeah. I have no interest in seeing Buys fight anybody else. I've got McGee against like Christian Quinones, maybe. I like what I see, but like at the same time, it's just at a very low level of competition. Speaking of low level of competition, Mike Breeden stopped in the first round by Terrence McKinney. This was a standing stoppage, which I think there was one other on this card. The Amorim fight, I think. No. It was Santos Miller. Yeah, Mike Breeden is not very good. See everything I said about JP Buys, about Chris Daukaus. Apply it to him. There you go. Terrence McKinney is an idiot. I say this because like after the fight, he's like, I'm here to show what I can do, and that I've got the fixes. I'm getting better. You're not getting better. You're still the same tornado of offensive activity for the first round, maybe round and a half, and then you fell apart. And the question just is, it's about your opponent. When it's Mike Breeden, you overwhelm him. When it's, is it Ishmael or Gabriel Bomb? The smaller of the two bomb themes, you lose. When it's Drew Dober, you lose. Like your performances are the most cut and dry, determined thing about your fights. It's all about, does the opponent die? And that is it. So yeah. For next opponents, I have nothing for Breeden because I think cut. For McKinney, I've got like a Joe Selecki type guy, a guy who's going to bring a little bit of a grappling game, a little bit of a wet blanket, a little bit of a BJJ top control game. Can strike, but is not particularly great at it. Is reasonably durable. What happens? That's the next interest. Francis Marshall, Isaac Dulgarian. Isaac Dulgarian, you have arrived, my friend. 6 fights into your career. I won so much money because I got him. I got him at plus 135 odds. Don't bet, kids. Don't bet. Like seriously, it's a terrible habit in this sport. But if you are going to bet, that's smart. Yeah, Dulgarian went out there, and the stand up wasn't particularly amazing, but Dulgarian telegraphed a takedown like all hell. Still got it, which speaks highly to the potency of his wrestling. Throws a little bit of ground and pound. Has a couple of nice elbows. I like the elbows particularly. And Marshall almost escaped. Like he almost scrambled back to his feet, but there was a beautiful leg wrap by Dulgarian. Kept him down, put him on his back, ground and pound. Boom, boom, boom. Get to the mount, get to the back. Boom, 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 boom. Referee steps in. There you go. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, I still do think that there's going to be a prospect performance, if not loss, in Dulgarian's future. His stand-up is not particularly good. His setup for his takedowns is not particularly good. He just simply was able to make it work here against Francis Marshall. But, like, that's a pretty high level to be debuting against, and he did it. He did the job. I've got TJ Brown next for him, a guy who is used to fighting at a physical disadvantage and making it work, and a little bit more well-rounded, and a guy who is going to recognize those telegraph takedowns and punish them. And I think that is perfect, but lacking athletically. And then for Marshall, I've got like Danny Chavez if he's still on the roster. Marshall's in a bad place right now. But I'm not done with him. I like he's young enough. How old is he? He's 24 years old. He's been in this game for a very, very short period of time. I'm not done with it. Like there are some good base skills in play there. Martin Budai kind of just beat up Josh Parisian. Like he tenderized that meat and then eventually got a Kimura submission for the tap out. It was a really, really good performance, like and a great finish. Dude is an inspiration to people like me as a dude who was like north of 350, I do believe, and has gotten down to heavyweight weight and is doing his thing. I still think that there's a ceiling on it. I just don't think he's that good of an athlete, but he is strong, tough, hard-nosed, dogged, has a jiu-jitsu game. Apparently, I didn't even know that. Like, when they introduced him as a jiu-jitsu fighter, I'm like, really? But, like, dude actually does seem to have, like, some smooth technique on the ground. He's got an imposing game. He's big. He's powerful. He's durable. And he just kind of marches people down. And I'm here for it. For next, I have Dontel Mays as a athletic test for him. And for Parisian, I've got Carl Williams in a fight that is more about Carl Williams than anything else. Like Parisian, if he wasn't a heavyweight, I would say cut. But like, dude is a big, strong, durable dude who's going to make you fight. And there's a lot of UFC heavyweights on the roster that need that test. So, and Carl Williams is one of them. Montserrat Ruiz versus Jaqueline Amorim. Now, I said I picked Ruiz. By the way, I did very well on this card. I was wrong on the main event, and I was wrong on this fight. I think that was it. I mean, technically speaking, okay, I'll freely say this. I should have lost Cub Swanson versus Hakeem Dawodu, but like nailed the Roundtree fight, nailed the Lucindo fight. And I was wrong on Tefon Nutuke, so that's right. I was right on the Josh Frem Jamie Pickett fight. I was right on the McGee JP Buys fight. I was right on McGee Breeden. Dulgarian did better than I expected, but got the job done. Budai did better than expected, but got the job done. This was probably my most raw, the fight that I am wrong on, but I think I'm very happy to be wrong on it, and I was hoping to be wrong on it. Because Montserrat Ruiz is not a particularly good fighter. She is a functional fighter who's hard-nosed and scrappy. And in women's MMA, unfortunately, that gets you a lot of wins. And with Amorim, she was a girl who has physical talent, solid grappling, and I am interested to see what she can do. But her debut against Sam Hughes was just so bad that I could not pick her. But she goes out there and she gets the job done in the third round. She kept it up for the entirety of it. She 10-8'd, in my opinion, Montserrat Ruiz in the first and the second round. Her stand-up looked better. Her takedowns look better. Her ground game looks slick. Yes! I'm not on the bandwagon yet because it's one performance against a pretty low-down opponent. But there is a lot of hope that she either just simply had a bad outing against Sam Hughes. She got the first time octagon shock problem. And that she's perfectly fine. Or, option 2, she's taken some steps to fix what went wrong against Sam Hughes. And I appreciate that. This made this and Isaac Dulgarian's one was like the highlight of my night. And for her next opponent, I've got Corey McKenna. She pounded her out, by the way. And for Ruiz, I've got Victoria Dudikova. Damon Blackshear versus Jose Johnson. Yes, a twister. This was also a highlight of the night. Third twister in UFC history. Go Damon Blackshear. He's putting it together. He's getting better. Do I think he's going to be a champion in the future? No, I do not. But he is a physical challenge for anybody in the division. He is a persistent grappler. He is creative. He appears like he even studies opponents to a great degree and has a game plan for them, and it's great. I love it. I want to see him fight Brian Kelleher. I really want to see him fight Brian Kelleher. For Jose Johnson, I've got Joshua Weems penciled in. But it's kind of like just kind of like anyone that needs a fight really at bantamweight. He's fun, but like I don't think he's going anywhere. I think there are physical limitations to Johnson's game that he is not going to get past. But he's fun and interesting enough and tests people enough that I want him around at the low end of the division. And then Luana Santos and Juliana Miller had, my God, an ugly striking fight. Oh, my Lord. Oh, God, was it bad? There was some decently fun grappling in this fight. Santos TKO'd or standing. I will say this for Luana Santos. She's very strong. She has excellent physical upside, but she is very, very raw. There's nothing smooth about her game. Juliana Miller is the same in the sense that she's a mess without the athletic upside. And, well, I mean, I guess she is raw. She's like 6 fights into her UFC career. Her MMA career, I should say. Most of which has been in the UFC, which I think is bad. Like I think honestly, someone like Juliana Miller winning the Ultimate Fighter, that was bad for her because I think she has to learn. And the problem is you will learn in the UFC, but you will get no opportunities to try out your new ideas. Also, if I'm not very much mistaken, Juliana Miller decided that she was going to go to Sick Jitsu after her tough run. It does not say so on her Tapology page. Hang on. Does Wikipedia? Do you have... actually, honestly, do you even have a... there we are. Juliana Miller. No, that's Jim Miller. No, thank you. Juliana Miller. Am I not spelling it correctly? I might not be. Let's just look up the fight card. Because if she did go to Sick Jitsu, my views on Sick Jitsu are pretty simple. They suck. She didn't have a Wikipedia page. Yeah, they suck. Burning trash fire of a fight. I don't know what to say. For next opponents, Miller will probably get another one. My understanding of the tough contracts is that there is a 4-fight deal at a low rate of money, and then there's an elevator that the UFC can let you go for no penalty. And they usually let it go for 4 fights. So I assume we're getting it. And then for Santos, I have Teresa Bleda because, I have legitimate questions about what happens if Santos just does not overpower someone and just overwhelm them, because that's what happened here. So short review this time around. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the card. Honestly, it was fun. It just doesn't feel like UFC caliber. And that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. Anyways, check out the links down below for other places to find this podcast. Check out the gaming stuff. Check out the Discord. We're starting up the career mode in the MMA sim soonish. So get on that. And I will talk to you guys next time. And we are happy next time because, as much as I'm not as hyped for the next UFC pay-per-view as some, I am hyped.